My Lords, I rise very briefly, having attached my name to Amendment 14 in the name of the Noble Lord Davies of Brixton, who has very powerfully introduced it, and I think I'd associate myself with all of the Noble Lord's comments. Essentially, what the Noble Lord was talking about was reasonable adjustments for people with mental health conditions in dealing with the financial sector. I'm just going to briefly address this consumer protection objective from the other side, which is that the financial sector should not make people ill. And the noble lady, the Minister, I'm sure will recall the meeting that we had a couple of months ago now with the victims of the mortgage prisoners. And we heard at that meeting some testimony about the impacts of how people have been trapped in the system and really suffered greatly, enormously as a result. And so I just wanted to reflect on two things. One, the figures that have come out since committee, the fact that the head of UK Finance has labelled the UK as the fraud capital of the world, with fraud last year estimated at £1.2 billion. And that reflects the fact that I think very many people now approach any interaction with the financial sector with a sense of fear. Is this true? Is this right? Is this a proper email? And this is something that really the financial sector needs to do more to address so that people aren't suffering that stress, that pressure. And the other thing is to say that the lack of the ability, and I know some individuals somewhat older than myself who just find the inability to walk into a branch and actually deal with an issue and have some person face-to-face solving your problems. People just spend weeks and weeks trapped in cycles of emails and phone calls, and no one can ever solve your problem and you never speak to the same person twice. And that has real serious impacts on people's lives and people's well-being. And I think we need to acknowledge that, and we need to say to the banks that this is just not acceptable and it's not good enough. In terms of the financial inclusion amendments in this, I've already spoken on this at some length, so I won't go over the same ground. But it is clear in all of the amendments in this group, the financial sector is not meeting the needs of our society. And as a Parliament, we need to ensure that we do more to make sure that it does.
My Lords, I